Good day and welcome to Q3 Investor Summit Virtual. We appreciate your participation in today's virtual event. Up next, we are pleased to introduce Helix BioPharma Corporation. If you would like to ask a question during the webcast, you may drop them in the chat box button on the left side of your screen. Please type your question into the box and click Send to submit it. At this time, it is my pleasure to hand over the session to Thomas Mehrling, MD, PhD, CEO at Helix BioPharma Corporation, who will lead the presentation. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and a good afternoon to all of you in the New York time zone. I will introduce Helix BioPharma to you, a oncology company that has a pipeline and products that will make a true difference to how certain cancers are treated, because they will respond better to treatment than they are doing today. Helix has a history that goes back a number of years. Helix is a Toronto-based company that is public, and shares are traded at Toronto Stock Exchange. Helix is proud to have a solid and loyal investor base for many, many years. And the company was able to raise $140 million over this period from healthy individuals, a basis that has expanded over all those years and made the company move forward with their products. Last year, Helix had a novel and unique asset, and the question was how to move forward. And Helix went through a process of restructuring and refocusing, and also was able to expand the pipeline substantially to mitigate risks in the development process. The management team, as you will see, is highly experienced and long-term active in the field of biopharma and pharma, and has a track record of substantial successes. Now, Helix today is presenting a investment opportunity that is open right now. Helix is raising $20 million as a bridge financing in form of a private placement, which has already opened and attracted certain investors. This 20 million, as you will see, will be used to drive our programs, but foremost, the money will also be used to relocate to the US and change to NASDAQ listing. The company has ambitious plans, and for this, access to a bigger capital market than Canada is of the essence. Now, in the context then of NASDAQ listing, the company would like to raise a substantially higher amount of 80 million around the IPO, which will then be a public offering in the context of NASDAQ listing. So I will tell you a little bit more about this short term and then also the longer term investment opportunity. Right now, apart from moving to the US, we have prioritized two program opportunities that will be favored over our early stage programs in order to deliver valuable milestones and value inflections. So the first priority is a clinical stage program called LDOS47 in non-small cell lung cancer. And this product has been going already through phase 1 and phase 1b studies in the United States and has shown promise. The next step now is to move into a combination trial with the most successful cancer product on the market for non-small cell lung cancer, pembrolizumab. When combining our drug with pembrolizumab, we are expecting a substantial improvement in treatment outcomes in terms of overall survival and progression-free survival, of course. We have shared our plans with the FDA, The FDA has supported our plan to move forward with this compound, and we're now in full protocol development and keen to execute our plans as soon as possible. And a substantial amount of those 20 million will be dedicated to this program. Since we're then starting the clinical trial, we expect to report continuous and timely our progress and initial data from this clinical study, which we expect also will be watched very closely by markets and will drive the interest in Helix and also support the stock price once we are traded at NASDAQ. The next compound that we would like to take very shortly to the clinic is a compound that works in a setting where currently no drug is approved. So we are able, with this agent, to treat patients that have relapsed from acute leukemia after a very intensive procedure called stem cell transplantation. And this drug offers the opportunity for long-term remission or a cure, which does not happen today. Now, also, we have shared our data with the FDA on this drug, and the FDA has granted orphan drug status, which comes along with regulatory lower hurdles for us. So our trials will be faster because we don't need a huge amount of patients to be treated in the clinical setting. And also, if the drug then has first clinical data, we are probably eligible for breakthrough status and accelerated approval. Now, these trials are going to be all in the United States. They will be single arm in well-renowned institution. And if the data is showing what we expect, we will have conversations with the FDA very quickly about how to get this drug to the market. Now, this is an overview simply to show you how we are going to go on the long term. These 20 million, they will help us, to do the next step, driving these two programs and go to the US. But Helix has a long-term vision and mission, of course. And that, as you can see here, is dedicated to a pipeline of 6 programs. All of them are unique and novel. I will tell you a little bit more details later. But we're also hitting markets and returns that are in an area that is of great interest for pharma partners. We are not intending to bringing all of our compounds to markets. We will look for partnerships along the way with big pharma companies to take over our products and finish development as well as marketing and selling them. Now, our pipeline here shows you the composition. So LDOS47 is our lead clinical product in non-small cell lung cancer. We have built on the technology around LDOS47 and are now expanding with additional antibody drug conjugates, utilizing latest state-of-the-art technology. But these compounds are early stage, so they will first go through a lot of preclinical, not so expensive steps before we can take them to the clinic. Then we have Lumuna. That's the drug that is scheduled for the development in leukemia, and later as an orphan drug. Also, we expect a short pathway to potential regulatory approval. And last but not least, an oral chemotherapy that is an essential medicine on the WHO list, where we transform intravenous administration to oral administration. And this program is scheduled for early partnering with companies that are working in this field and companies that are interested in gaining new market share by changing the administration route. The lead indications, I did already mention this, is non-small cell lung cancer, and you will see that non-small cell lung cancer is one of the most prevalent cancers on the planet. Despite smoking cessation, there is still a lot of risk around the globe from countries where people are still heavy smoking. It's one of the risk factors, not the only one. But lung cancer is very, very prevalent. On the other end, we know that leukemia is a very hard to treat disease, which requires often intensive interventions like stem cell transplant. But these patients have a very, very high unmet need. The current outcome of therapy is less than adequate in those days. Our team has now, since the restructuring, substantially expanded. I'm very pleased to say that we have true experts in their respective fields. Veronica is our COO, and I couldn't imagine anybody better running the company with all those important tasks on her plate. Rohit joined us as Chief Financial Officer, a young but very experienced guy that is now overseeing all the financials of the company, including our money-raising efforts. Davide, a guy that I know for more 20 years, he's a top guy in the CMC part, and so it goes on. So this team will even grow because we have more challenges to take on, and fortunately, there are enough people that we know that will build the team as we move forward. Now, a few words about LDOS 47. LDOS 47 is our lead compound in the clinic, and we think it's a potential game changer in the way how pembrolizumab is used in the first-line treatment of non-small cell lung cancer. Now, that's important because first-line therapy is our best shot. First-line therapy is always the best product because later on it will be more and more difficult to have some treatment successes. LDOS 47 is called a tumor defense breaker because pembrolizumab is already very active in treating non-small cell lung cancer, but not active enough. Because every cancer is surrounded by what we call a tumor microenvironment. And often enough, the tumor microenvironment is adverse to any therapy that is applied for a certain cancer. And one of the changes in the tumor microenvironment is that it turns acidic because a tumor has a very high turnover in energy. And that changes the pH in the tumor microenvironment. We are breaking down this defense by neutralizing the tumor microenvironment. And our expectation is that in combination with pembrolizumab, this is going to make a huge difference. And here you can see a preclinical experiment where we have used pembrolizumab in a very well-established preclinical model. And on the left, you see a tumor size that was already shrinking with pembrolizumab, but you can see that this was dramatically better when pembrolizumab was used with LDOS 47. And these are the results that we have shared with the FDA, and I think that's why the agency is very supportive to our next clinical trial, that we want to start as soon as possible. Now, in the past, as I said, in a combination here with standard chemotherapy, LDOS has already shown substantial promise. You see that actually most of the patients depicted here in blue have responded very well. And at the right end, you see that there was a patient that had an almost complete response, meaning the tumor had completely shrinked and disappeared almost with a combination of chemo and LDOS 47. So backed by this success, we are now going full force for this next combination study. We are timely and we are close to starting this, but also we are very well organized and already prepared to execute this study very quickly. And that's why I call this a driver of short-term value inflection. It's not only the IPO that's going to drive the value of the company, it will also be the news that we are able to deliver thereafter from this clinical trial that will further enhance our value and our stock price. So we see a very short-term bright future here. The next thing is that from these experiences with LDOS, we are now going into really latest technologies like building ADCs that carry radioisotopes as well as latest technology in this field. So I think that's exciting when you think about the long term of the company. It's not just the short term programs; it is our prospects, moving forward that are also, mitigating risk and are actually terribly exciting. Lumuna, very quickly, this is the product that changes everything, as we hope, how relapse of leukemia is treated. Here you see some statistics that explain to you why this is an orphan drug. There are 60,000 patients every year. Half of them are relapsing, and their prognosis is pretty bad. It's about 8 to 15 month overall survival only, because there is no standard of care. No drug has been approved. Now, Lumuna is a drug that does something that no other drug can do. It does activate the immune system of the patients to mount a graft versus leukemia reaction. Now, that teaches the immune system to attack the leukemia and make it leaving the body. So the expectation is, and we know that from previous clinical experience, is that patients can have a chance for long-term remissions, but even a cure. So I was overseeing in the past a trial where a similar mechanism, but not the same drug, was used, and there was an observation where a 3-year-old girl was treated in Denver, Colorado, and she was sent home with a very aggressive leukemia, relapsing after stem cell transplant, and this drug cured her. And this is something that treating physicians will never forget, because it's so rare and practically actually never happening, really. And so this is our motivation to take this drug forward. Same thing, we want to be in the clinic next year. We have ticked all the boxes. We just need to produce a clinical batch, and then we can go ahead. So the plan is very detailed. We will ask the FDA in a few weeks' time if they agree again with our plans. We like to ask the agency to make sure that we're not heading in the wrong way. And then same thing, next year, we want to start clinical studies and again report news to markets and investors, which we believe will be another driver for Helix value. So the upcoming milestones are depicted here. It is everything you see here is happening in 2025 and 2026. So there's a lot that will be going on, a lot that we can report. And these, as I said, are the important things to support our IPO then in the US and the stock price going forward and the company value going forward. So this has been my presentation. I hope you find that exciting. The private placement is already open, as I said. So, but there is time. It will go for a few weeks for you to decide if you think that might be an interesting investment for you. Thank you very much for your interest and your attention.
Thank you, Thomas, for your wonderful presentation. So if anyone has question, please feel free to type your question into the Q&A box, and Thomas will address them right away. Thank you.